shocking electricity bills now arrive, the hidden costs of the AI revolution. Even if you haven't tapped into AI through tools like ChatGPT or generated any AI imagery, it's highly likely that you're still feeling the financial pinch from this technological wave. The surge in artificial intelligence is propelling a dramatic increase in electricity consumption throughout the United States. Data centers that fuel AI applications, ranging from large language models to image generators, are consuming energy at unprecedented rates. This skyrocketing energy demand is not just a statistic. It translates directly into higher electricity bills for households, as well as significant strain on the national power grid, ultimately leading millions of Americans to absorb these rising costs. This past summer, residents across the eastern United States experienced sharp increases in their electricity expenses. For example, in Trenton, New Jersey, the typical household saw a surge of $26 in their monthly utility bill. Likewise, in Columbus, Ohio, bills increased by $27, primarily fueled by rising wholesale power market rates. According to reports from AEP Ohio, along with regional agencies, a significant factor contributing to these surges is indeed the demands placed by data centers. Recent statistics from the U.S. Energy Information Administration reinforce this alarming trend. In May 2025, the average U.S. household faced a cost of 17.47 cents per kilowatt hour, marking an increase from 16.41 cents the previous year, an alarming jump of 6.5%. Certain states experienced even sharper rises. For instance, electricity rates in Maine skyrocketed by 36.3%, while those in Connecticut rose by 18.4%. The overburdened power grid and its consequences. The pressure on the electricity grid is particularly intense in regions managed by organizations such as PJM, a lesser-known company operating the electric grid for over 67 million individuals across 13 states in the eastern U.S. Alarmingly, in December 2024, capacity prices soared from $30 to a staggering $270 per megawatt day, a nine-fold increase that prompted lawsuits and widespread public outcry. In response, Pennsylvania took legal action against PJM, while Maryland enacted emergency legislation, and New Jersey's governor called for the resignation of PJM's CEO. The crux of this price explosion lies in the vast data centers built to support AI technologies. An independent market monitor for PJM, Monitoring Analytics, has indicated that approximately 75% of the increase in capacity pricing can be attributed to the demand from both existing and future data centers. It has been estimated that consumers will soon encounter an additional $9.3 billion in charges as a result of these trends. Abraham Silverman, an energy researcher at Johns Hopkins University, remarked, "These are not your typical server farms. AI training centers, often referred to as hyperscale facilities, have the capacity to consume hundreds or even thousands of megawatts from a single location. Imagine incorporating the power output of 5 nuclear plants into the grid every year, solely for AI purposes." Silverman further criticized current energy planning frameworks as antiquated and insufficient, stating, "We're far from being able to meet this surge in demand as a society. Our models still operate under the assumption of stable electricity growth, which is no longer accurate." In a recent examination, he concluded that auction prices may lead to consumer expenditures doubling, from $6 billion to almost $15 billion annually because of the requirements stemming from AI-related data centers. This represents a considerable shift in financial burdens. The pressing question remains, who will be responsible for covering these costs? The financial burden of rising power demands. Despite utilities' initiatives to enhance infrastructure, many large-scale data center projects are known to not fully account for the expenses associated with the necessary substations and transmission lines required to service them. A report from the analytics firm Wood Mackenzie revealed that in many instances, utilities tend to offload these financial obligations onto other customers or absorb them entirely themselves. Utilities are faced with the choice of either distributing the cost among other ratepayers or wearing the expense themselves, effectively impacting their shareholders. Ben Hertz-Schargel, head of Grid Edge Research at Wood Mackenzie, explained in a conversation with the New York Times. Corporate giants fuel the AI expansion. Large technology companies are in a fierce race to scale up their AI capabilities. Microsoft has earmarked $120 billion for data centers, while Meta anticipates capital expenditures of up to $72 billion this year. Google has also committed to investing $25 billion in facilities within the PJM region alone. In order to keep up with this relentless demand, many utilities are increasingly leaning on aging fossil fuel plants. Dominion Energy, which caters to a large portion of Virginia, has urged regulators to require large load customers to contribute a more equitable share toward grid enhancement expenses. If reforms are not implemented, electricity prices in several areas of Virginia are projected to rise by as much as 25% by the year 2030. Silverman pointed out that the challenge lies not in the emergence of new data centers, but rather in how they connect to the existing electrical grid. States ought to welcome these investments, he shared. However, they must insist that data centers provide their own renewable energy sources, establish long-term contracts with utility providers, and set aside financial guarantees. If these conditions are not met, the ongoing surge in prices is inevitable. The previous administration had adopted a comprehensive strategy, prioritizing the fast-tracking of permits for fossil fuel plants, nuclear energy, and hydropower to address escalating energy needs tied to AI, while simultaneously reducing federal support for wind and solar energy initiatives. Wind and solar represent the quickest solutions we have at our disposal, asserted Paulina Jaramillo, a professor of engineering and public policy at Carnegie Mellon University. However, the current administration seems to be taking measures to obstruct their development. This jeopardizes us, increasing the risk of blackouts and brownouts, she continued, cautioning. Electricity markets in some restructured regions are crumbling. The absence of coordinated planning is concerning. No single organization holds the responsibility for long-term system design anymore. Ongoing price increases and environmental impact. The escalating costs of electricity should not be perceived as a fleeting concern. An analysis by Arbor, an energy savings platform, indicates that the average price for electricity in U.S. households has more than doubled since 2004, rising from around 9 cents per kilowatt hour to 19 cents today. Since 2020, the increase has been an alarming 34%. If we fail to modernize the electrical grid immediately, we will find ourselves facing erratic, unpredictable, and unaffordable power bills, warned Andrew Meyer, founder of Arbor. Furthermore, a study conducted in June 2025 by Carnegie Mellon and North Carolina State University highlighted that, under existing policies, national wholesale electricity costs could spike by 8%, while annual carbon dioxide emissions could surge by an astounding 275 million metric tons by the year 2030, equivalent to adding France's entire carbon footprint to the U.S. grid. Without significant policy adjustments, this is the future we are endorsing, Jaramillo noted emphatically. We will ultimately bear the cost, one way or another. But here's where it gets provocative. How do we balance the rapid advancements in technology against the looming energy crisis? What role should government play in managing this intersection of economic growth and environmental responsibility? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.